The winning goal. The Newcastle defender Fabian Schär, a substitute in the night, had to be restrained and a water bottle was thrown by a member of Newcastle staff. The Liverpool goalkeeping coach, John Achterberg, was seen giving the V sign to the Liverpool fitness coach, Andreas Kornmeier, who was also caught on camera, sarcastically waving at the Newcastle staff during the incident. Also saw a policeman having to stand between the two technical areas. It's not a good look, is it, Martin?
No, and it's one of those, I think, with Jurgen Klopp, obviously both benches are guilty, and both of them are trying to create this emotion, this togetherness. And it's interesting, the managers weren't actually there, but then they do control that atmosphere, those benches, and they just need to keep a lid on. I do feel the FA will probably step in. We can't have this every game, but, you know, it's such a late winner, Jim. Can you just press a button and say, right, okay, we're not going to be emotional now, just when we score a last-minute goal? These are sort of human reaction, but you have to have certain levels and respect. And obviously respect was lost there in that game.
But I wonder though, Martin, did the FA send the right message recently by not banning both Conte and Tuchel for their touchline antics recently, Simon? I mean, Tuchel was fined 35 grand and a suspended touchline ban. Conte was given a 15 grand fine, no ban.
I thought Tuchel was put up in the stands, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, he was indeed.
Look, I mean, you've got to get the balance right in everything that you do. I mean, the police officer standing between the two dugouts was probably doing a Macarena at the time, so he's probably no use to anyone. But the bottom line is you expect the idea of the benches and the staff to behave in a way which is befitting of the positions that they have. Nobody, least of all me. I owned a football club. I know what emotion looks like. I know what wanting to win looks like. I know what losing looks like more than I know what wanting to win looks like. But the bottom line is you do have to behave yourself. And if you're asking the fans to behave in a certain way and to understand that there's a level of celebration that they can get involved with, then you have to have the standard bearers, which are the managers, the players and the benches, at least getting near to towing some line of reasonable behaviour. We saw this a few years ago when Jose Mourinho reacted very badly to when one of the bench from Chelsea got wound him up when he was the Man United manager. And you know, it seems to be that it's actually the peripheral characters that are actually getting involved in this. What's the bench got to deal with it? What's the goalkeeping coach?
Well, they see the leaders. They see the leaders of their
But Klopp and Eddie Howe weren't involved in this. We've seen situations where managers like
Klopp is quite animated at times, isn't he?
Yeah,
and he creates an incredible atmosphere, which you then can't suddenly sort of put your foot on it and say, right, okay, we're doing emotion now. So I applaud what he does in general. But I think it's about a healthy balance, and it's the manager that steps in. I mean, Arsene Wenger, you don't like even you mention his name, but he would control the bench. So if you looked at an Arsenal bench, at times I looked at it, you know, in the Steve Bold years, that maybe they're not showing enough emotion. It's very controlled, very calm. So they're just reacting as they see fit. They've scored a late winner, but what they must do is share respect.
Wenger's lost control.
So as long as we accept they've acted as they see fit, which is a ludicrous assertion, Martin, because no one should see fit.
I'm not saying it's correct. I've said they've overstepped the line. And there obviously will be some punishment.
They're acting in an inappropriate fashion. They're acting in a way that will have consequences. So as long as no one cries and no one turns around and says that people getting the book thrown at them is something that's unfair, then we'll all be fine.
Yeah, but I do think it's a little bit of a wind-up with Jurgen Klopp, and he's very good to detach himself from it afterwards. It's very incredible, and he doesn't really carry it through.
A lot of it stems from this time wasting. Now, the other night, what incensed some of the Liverpool fans and some of the Liverpool bench was this perceived time wasting by Newcastle, and this is going on. And nothing is being done about it. It's not going on just in this game. It's going on in many other games. I mean, I mentioned I was at Fulham Brighton the other night. 6 minutes added time at the end. But the ball's hardly in play in those 6 minutes. Now, Liverpool-Newcastle, over the 90 minutes, the ball was in play for 58 minutes and 42 seconds. Is it any wonder the Liverpool bench was flaring up about perceived time wasting?
Okay, aspects of the game that can bring out frustrations in other people. Time wasting, simulation, people players buying fouls and getting themselves in situations they shouldn't be in.
Right, Sam,
and all that is part of the game, right? So does that mean that one offence is more justified for an emotional outburst than another.
No, it doesn't. But
they've worked hard. They've worked really hard to put this right.
This time wasting thing is now bad.
For years, it's been called game management, isn't it? Just being professional. I watched Jesse Marsh, Pickford taking forever to take goal kicks, and a really good game management from Everton. But the Jesse Marsh is pointing continuously at his watch in the referee's face.
And he's right to do that.
The fans are doing the same, and then it's trying to create, because they want a momentum leads. They want to dominate. They want to take the team, as Liverpool do, and all these stoppages stop that momentum.
Yep.
And that's what we probably saw at Newcastle, Liverpool, a build-up of this, a tension, and then in the end, ironically, it's in that stoppage time, the 98th minute, when they score the winner. So they almost feel like vindicated then. Okay, guys, you want to do that? We've beaten you in your time that you created. I feel if I was a player playing right now, still out there, and a referee was going to give me extra time, I'm saying, no, don't give me extra time. Just book the player that's taking forever. If it's a goalkeeper, I'll tell you what, send him off. Send him off. Let's give him 2 bookings. Let's send him off, and let's see how many more times the goalkeeper's going to do it.
Absolutely right. They wanted to get rid of the dissent. They got rid of it. They wanted people to stand 10 yards. They spray a line. You want to get rid of something.
Also,
do what it takes to get rid of it.
Simon is also as well. If you're a referee and there's lots of things going on, you're looking at battles emerging. You're looking at problems in a player. Shall I book him? Shouldn't I? Too much to think about. We need a timekeeper on the side. Let's have a timekeeper on the side. No. It's the referee who determines how many minutes are added to a game, as far as I'm aware.
So we full official, not helping.
Let's have a timekeeper that says, right, okay, bang, let's just do it. 6-7 minutes, off we go from there. And if anyone's taking the mickey on the pitch, you have the jurisdiction to send a player off.
Yeah, Martin, I think you're absolutely spot on. It goes on almost in every game. Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, time the ball wasn't played, 59 minutes.
It is increasing,
but
you're getting some records now.
Your beloved Arsenal are guilty of this. I mean, when they played Fulham, Arteta threw the ball away.
Can I just ask about the evolution of football then? So, because if we're going to highlight this as a problem, what's the journey it's been on? Because how diminished has the ball been in play over the last 30 years? How diminished is it in terms of comparatives to La Liga or Serie A? How diminished is it against international football? Is this not just football? And how football's evolved?
Yeah, it's a good point, Simon.
Because I wonder,
we've had to get used to it.
Yeah, if we're going to compare to what we're saying now is unacceptable, what are we comparing it to?
It's been going on for a lot of people. Now we're looking at it with a critical eye.
Broadcasters are looking at it because the value for money in terms of the broadcasting content is being diminished by people not playing football at a high level. So I think this agenda's been started by the broadcasters, and then it becomes a discussion, and people go, let's look into this and make it and highlight it.
I think you're fine.
I agree. Absolutely.
I do feel it's actually this is something born out from the really good teams who've got the ball, want to pass, and all the time all these stoppages, putting the ball out of play. I think there was a situation a few years ago when we were down to 50 minutes or something. So there is an argument. People want to. I don't agree with this. We just play for an hour, but they just play for an hour and we go to the clock. But at the end of the day, I think we should be the 90 minutes. But we've got to create these restrictions. Goalkeepers are just taking the mickey out of the referees.
They'll get there. And then I'm guaranteed they'll get there, and they'll start doing what you're saying, and I'm guaranteed the Klopps of the world will start crying about it in terms of ridiculous sending-offs, games being diminished by people, because there's one thing saying you want to get rid of this, there's another thing saying, like, okay, we want to get rid of it, this is what we're going to do, because we mean it now.
Well, the first goalkeeper it happens to, they'll be moaning, wouldn't they? They'll say, why us?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's damaging the product. It really is. And fans are upset by it. It causes frustration everywhere, not least on the bench. The other night, when the two benches, Liverpool and Newcastle, flared at each other.
It just exploded.
Yeah, it did explode. So I'm with you on that, Martin. Referees, dig deep. Instead of yellow, bring out a red. That will stop it. It's 11:45.
White and Jordan on TalkSport with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Today's tale begins the night the internet went down at the Smith family. Son? The dad watched on powerless as his son aged before his eyes.
The game has been loading forever.
Save yourself from broadband nightmares. Get BT's unbreakable hybrid broadband backed up by EE, the UK's best network. Search BT Hybrid Broadband. 88% UK availability. 4G connection takes up to 175 seconds. Best for mobile network performance. Verify at ee.co.uk/claims.
At UK Export Finance, we ensure that no viable UK export fails by providing government-backed finance and insurance. So if you want to expand into new markets, we can help you win contracts with attractive finance terms. If you've got an overseas order, we can help you fulfill it with a working capital loan. And if you're entering a challenging market, we can ensure that you get paid with the right insurance. We've helped hundreds of companies to win contracts, fulfill orders and get paid.
To get the exporter's edge, search UK Export Finance.
At Trust Ford, we're passionate about finding the right 72-plate Ford for you. And we're here to guide you through our exciting range of new cars and vans, including our hybrid and electric vehicles. And we'll help you move into a new car with less expensive running costs than your current vehicle. So why not take advantage of our latest hot offers with great finance deals and a £500 upgrade saving on RRP. Call into your nearest dealership or visit trustford.co.uk today. Trust Ford, for you.
You love what you do. Every job and every customer matters. And your reviews, glowing. We've got a lot in common. We are Trust a Trader, the website that millions of people use to find reputable tradespeople like you. If you're as passionate as we are about doing things right, find out if you've got what it takes to join the Trust a Trader family and really grow your business. Apply now at trustatrader.com. You can always trust a trader.
A railcard gets you a third off train travel. Now that's everyday savings. Get yours at railcard.co.uk. £30 a year, eligibility, minimum fares and restrictions apply.
The Sunday session is back.
Absolutely extraordinary!
And TalkSport gears up to bring you another blistering Sunday afternoon Premier League experience. Official betting partner Betfair is also back to make sure you've got all the latest odds at your fingertips.
What a goal!
Hear the fever pitch build-up live on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip. Terms and conditions apply. See support.betfair.com. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
Traffic and travel on TalkSport with Swinton Van Insurance. Looking to insure your van? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Get a quote today. Swinton Van Insurance.
In Kent, the A2 is closed westbound off the A20 from the Eastern Docks roundabout at Dover to Deal after an accident in the early hours of this morning. In Devon, the A39 is partly blocked each way by an accident between Bideford and Barnstable, causing delays. In Pembrokeshire on the A40, there are queues each way towards roadworks at the Ross turn-off at Haverford West. And in Argyll and Bute, the A82 is closed in both directions after an accident and fuel spill at Luss alongside Loch Lomond, causing queues. That's the latest. I'm Russell Holding.
Tonight's Euro Millions jackpot could make your dreams come true, but not the dream where you're abducted by aliens. Not the dream! No, the one where you're flying around the world on your own private jet. The Euro Millions jackpot keeps getting bigger. £108 million tonight. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Turn app, online and in-store. Estimated jackpot. Account terms, rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Laser-guided comment, unfiltered opinion and high-voltage debate.
A new radio landscape of comments, conflict and confrontation with two legends of sports media.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on Talk Sport.
We're coming up to 12 noon this Friday lunchtime. This is Friday, September the 2nd. Huge weekend of football lying ahead, both north and south of the border. Up in Glasgow, of course, lunchtime kick-off tomorrow. Celtic Rangers in the east end of the city. Now, Bournemouth, they have had a turbulent few days. Of that, there is no doubt. Of course, thumped 9-0 by Klopp's Liverpool. The sacking of Scott Parker. And now, in temporary control is a man we know well in here, Martin Simon. We know Gary O'Neill very well. He's done a whole bunch of shows with us here at TalkSport. But now he gets his chance. He gets his chance. So he will be the man who will lead Bournemouth into their next phase, temporarily, of course, until they decide, the man at the top decides, okay, Gary, thanks for what you've done on an interim basis, but we're going to appoint who and so ever. Maybe Gary will get it himself. So in that topic, Gary was asked this morning, what about the job? Do you want it full-time?
I mean, I tend not to make such big decisions on the spot. So I won't be considering it right now. It's going to take me a bit longer than that, and I've got so much going on with the games and the squad that all I am worried about is the 25, 26, whatever it is, players I've got, and getting them ready to go every game that I'm here for. It may be the weekend, it may be the weekend after. I'm fully focused just on the next one at the moment, mate.
Well, the next one's at Forest and all their new players. But this, Simon, you think, is one that Bournemouth can easily think, well, this is winnable. We're new to the Premier League, and so are they.
Yeah.
So should Gary not be saying, do you know what? Yeah, I want it. Count me in.
Yes, he should be saying that to the owners, not to the media. Because ultimately he's in a slightly difficult position, because if he says it to the media, and Gary is a very considered, bright young man, because we've had him in the studio, and he's a very clever kid, and he's been working with Liverpool, he's gone into Bournemouth for various reasons, and he's doing a decent job. He puts out his flag saying, I want this job. We bring another guy in that gets the job, and Gary O'Neill looks, and he's looking over his shoulder thinking, well, you wanted this job, so actually I'll get somebody in that knows his place. Right. So Gary's in a slightly difficult position where his ambition will probably want to push him on. He's being thoughtful about the way he engages with the media. He's right to focus on the job in hand, but if he's got anything about him, which, by the way, he does, you would think he'd put his hat in the ring, but maybe he doesn't want to be a football manager. Maybe he's quite happy with being an on-the-grass coach that doesn't want the necessity of having to deal with the media and all that goes with being a big-time manager in the Premier League. But realistically speaking, it would be a humongous risk to put an inexperienced coach into the manager's job in the biggest league in world football and think you've got even the vaguest semblance of a chance, with no spend behind it and no investment of any significance in the squad, of staying up. They need to get a Premier League manager that knows what he's doing in there.
So you, if you were the Bournemouth owner, wouldn't employ Gary O'Neill?
I've already employed him.
Would you have given him a job as manager if you found him in this situation? You'd fallen out with the previous manager in the way you did.
I would listen to the case. But looking from an objective, impartial point of view, rating Gary O'Neill as I do, as a person, and hearing things about him as a coach, and then looking at him as a manager, and there is a vast difference between a very good coach and a guy on a journey and a fully fledged Premier League manager, and you need something vaguely resembling a fully fledged Premier League manager to give you any chance at Bournemouth of making a fist of this season. And I think it would do Gary more harm than good. I think it would be something that most people would run towards the light for, because ambition is something that tells you, I've got to go for that because there's an opportunity here. And he'd be right to do that. But by the same token, he's probably somebody needs to save him from himself.
Well, he's only been there since February 21. He came with Jonathan Woodgate as assistant manager.
Yeah, I know.
But then to lose 9-0 at Liverpool and then to get a home draw is quite commendable, isn't it?
You'd expect a reaction from the players, wouldn't you? Well, and judging by the reaction from the players that we've heard, the few of them were not very happy with Scott Parker's attitude.
Well, and rightly so, and maybe this is the start of a new beginning for those players, and if the owner's looking at it saying, well, you know, I'm not going to back the past manager, but it's too late now anyway with the transfer window, is there any harm in going now with Gary just for a little bit longer, just to see how things are?
Depends what your alternatives are. I mean, there is not a race, is there? The decision is that they've got a result on Tuesday which gives them a bit of breathing space and takes the heat out of the situation. There's another game coming up that you'd like to think they'd get something out of if you're a Bournemouth fan. Gary O'Neill's
the bottom three, aren't they?
He's a sensible lad, he's holding order, and so why don't you have a good look? Give yourself some time, have a good look, and if nothing really good pops out of the ether, you don't have a decision to make. You just keep on with Gary O'Neill until you think you've got a decision to make.
It is, nonetheless, it is a challenge, Simon, and one that I would have thought Gary would welcome. I mean, let's, as you rightly say, right, mark time a bit, let's see what's going on here. If he was somehow, after getting the job, so let's say he gets it, and Bournemouth survive in the Premier League, Gary, job done.
Oh, absolutely. Different set of dynamics, but we're talking about 33 more games and a hell of a lot of expectation of teams that
what we should be talking about is the very next game, and that represents Nottingham Forest.
That's right.
21 different.
That's right.
Yes, and if you can win, because this was the team you've got to beat or get points for,
where's it at?
It's at Forest. So you know, going there, you need to get something from that. But Forest now, 21 players, Jim. I mean, that is quite remarkable.
Well, Scott Parker was screaming from the rooftops that, look, you've brought nobody in. The other side of the coin here is that Steve Cooper, Marinakis, has brought in 21 signings through the door at Forest. Whether that's the right way or not, we'll see in the fullness of time. But it's ironic that this is next Bournemouth Forest.
Feast and famines.
Feast and famine.
Well, they're buying so many players. It's one of those, Jim, where I've been brought in the transfer window for the early part. I started the season, then I'm not in the team myself because I've been replaced by yet another signing. So I don't know how you gel that together. I'm actually going to be at the Forest game tomorrow myself. I think it's ironical. Only 3 players started the first game of the season and played in that playoff final. So huge changes there, and it kind of make it work.
You've seen with Steve Cooper, comes now with a big reputation. I mean, I said some things a year ago about being a bridesmaid and not a bride, and it's not stood the test of time.
Yeah, and you know they were over.
No, I think he's a good manager.
He is a good manager, so he must be in the game for 21 players. But what I'd ask you is, going back a step, was you've seen the week's events unfold. Lots of people had a lot to say about the Scott Parker situation. What was your take whilst you were listening to our show? Sorry, not listening to our show, doing more meaningful things, as you said. What was your take on the Parker situation and how it's handled, and how he handled himself?
I just think Scott Parker's just underestimated the impact of what you say as a manager and how that can affect the team that you're working with. And you do need to.
Are you surprised?
You need to tread. Not really, because I think it's one of those where you've got to be very careful how you impact, and that company line has to be towed. At the end of the day, he knows what's in front of him. These are the players he's given, and I feel that it's kind of disrespectful to those players. Now, there must have been a strong feeling of that. They played Wolves in the next game, and there would have been a lot. Well, okay, the last manager has maybe gone a bit too far. It's very delicate. We're listening to Brendan saying we need help. I think in the situation, the problem with players, it was like, no, clearly we're not good enough to be at this level, and that hurts.
But what about the owner's perspective on sacking him? The players' reaction is one thing. The owner's gone, that will do you, you're out. What's your take on that?
I just feel there must have been a huge lack of communication between manager and the owner for that to happen, and he must have been given a warning already. He must have been given, if you remember, just before the season started, he came out and attacked the team, and then he won the first game of the season. So they felt that he was just overreacting, couldn't be trusted, and so we have to cut his legs off, get rid of him. I think it was harsh.
Do you?
I do think it was harsh.
That's what I'm trying to get to, is where you think it was.
I do think it was harsh, because I do think that Scott is an outstanding manager, and now they've left themselves exposed. And if you spend all those games, 44 games, getting them up, and you believe in someone to that extent, why do you get rid of him?
Scott Parker's done it
so quickly?
As a former owner, I look at it and go, why would I want to employ you? The moment you don't get something that you want, you're going to do that thing to me that you did to someone else. But no one's won from this. Bournemouth have lost a manager that people say is a promising manager that's got very good coaching acumen, and Scott's lost a Premier League job and has got now a reputation as being somebody that did it at Fulham, agitated at Fulham, walked out the door, had the hump, done the same at Bournemouth.
But you can turn that into a relationship. Whoever comes in, if it's not Gary O'Neill, can rightly ask Maxime Demon, why would I want to be employed by you?
Well, there's a Premier League job on offer. That's the reason why.
Yeah, but I can't speak my mind.
And well, you can speak your mind, but you don't have an absolute.
And I'm also doomed to fail because you won't back me.
Well, maybe there should
have been a buffer between him and
or maybe
the press conferences. They're key messages. You've got to have an in-house message, and you can't keep going against the owner.
Do you not think
you thought it was harsh, man?
Do you not think
it was harsh nonetheless?
Do you not think, with respect, that Premier League managers' jobs are rare as rocking horse? So there's only a few of them about. And the bottom line is that there will be plenty of candidates for that job. And you are right to suggest that if I'm a football manager who's got anything about me, I'd walk in the door and say, well, what are my parameters, right? Because I'm not a puppet, I'm a man. And I will have views on things, and I'm not somebody's, boot boy. I'm a proper grown professional. So give me the tools to work with, and I'll come and work for you, and I'll do it well. But I don't expect to have your hand up my backside telling me what I can and can't say.
There was no appetite there, was there, to help him learn and build and grow as a manager and a man in that job, was there? They clearly wanted him out at the first time.
I think he got what he deserved. I think he steered into it, and he got what he deserved. And some people would say,
I don't think you would have let it get that far.
No, but I would have not.
He earned the right to be there.
My message clearly, which is, I'm not asking you. This is not a debate. This is an autocracy. This is not something that I want you to misunderstand. I don't want you to walk out of the room saying, I wonder what he meant. You do not moan in the press about what you haven't got.
Dictatorship, yeah?
In that circumstance, yes, but the rest of the time, get on the training ground, do whatever the hell you please. Pick who you want.
I think he
go to the hotels you want.
He earned the right to be there, Scotty Parker, with what he did last year.
And he earned the right.
And it seems a shame
to keep his job.
They could not find a way to sort of work their way through this.
Yeah, I think that's probably
right. You've been a good general in a third world country.
No, I've been really, really fair. I'm really fair. I'm many things, but I'm really fair. I'm very clear. And I don't think other people aren't either. I think most football club owners, some of them are idiots, but most of them are very clear on what they said. And what happens is it falls upon deaf ears because the manager goes, that's great, that's Mr. Chairman, that's great, Mr. Chairman, that's great, Mr. Chairman. Up yours, I'll do what I want.
We're coming up to 12 noon.
White and Jordan on TalkSport with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check stock at your local branch. We've got it at selcobw.com.
When people ask me about greener ways to heat their homes, I always recommend Samsung heat pumps. Instead of gas, they use electricity, plus the energy in the air outside to heat your home and water. So not only are Samsung heat pumps low carbon, they're energy efficient too. You can even control your heating with your smartphone, and it's all backed by a 7-year warranty.
Search Samsung heat pumps today for a greener way to heat your home.
At Lidl, the Off to Uni countdown has begun with Silent Night 10.5 top duvets from $12.99. Set of 3 stainless steel pans for $22.99 and kettles and toasters each from $18.99. In-store Back to Uni event starts this Thursday. Now that's big on quality and always little on price. Subject to availability, selected stores exclude tonight.
Alright, Twinkle Toes, it's your mate at Rift here to remind you to get your tax refund sorted. If you've paid out for tools, food or travel for work and not been reimbursed, you could be owed some cash. And with the price of everything going up, that could be a nice little Brucey bonus. On average, we get our customers $3,000 back. Search Rift tax refunds today. R-I-F-T, Rift gets tax refunds for me. Rift, we'll get you what you're owed.
That's quality. Yep, quality. Nice. At Cinch, only quality cars make the cut. They're all carefully reconditioned, quality checked, and they all come with at least 6 months MOT as standard. And if you don't absolutely love your new car, you can return it for a full refund for up to 14 days for free. So with only quality cars and a money-back guarantee, you can be certain you've absolutely cinched it. Search Cinch today. Guarantee subject to terms and mileage restrictions apply.
Hey, you heard this? They've gone mad over at Magnet, giving away stuff for free with Magnet Trade Rewards. Free DeWalt power tools, free weekend breaks, free 50-inch Sony smart TVs. Hit spend thresholds in September and October and you can get 3 levels of rewards worth up to 850 quid, all for free. Grab these amazing rewards at Magnet Trade. Magnet Trade account holders only. Full T's and C's at magnettrade.co.uk.
Are you fascinated by football?
He's got it!
Tantalised by tennis?
That's an ace!
Giddy for golf? Dizzy about, darts? Well, you tried doing all this alliteration. Anyway, Hawksby and Jacobs have got all the best in sport covered with all the latest form and odds from Paddy Power. Don't miss Paddy Power's multi-sport hacker on TalkSport. Combine your bet across multiple sports, and if one leg of your 4+4 hacker lets you down, Paddy Power will give you your money back as a free bet. Excludes horse racing. Max figure £10 per day. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BGambleware.org.
On 1089 and 1053 William Way. Online. On your mobile. On DAB. And on your smart speaker. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good afternoon, this is TalkSport. It's just gone midday. I'm Cara Bentley. The Chancellor suggests ideas for businesses to cope with the cost of bills.
And Jason Roy snubbed for T20 World Cup squad.
TalkSport.
The Chancellor has drawn up plans for tax cuts for businesses to help them with their costs. But Nadine Zahawi likely won't be the Chancellor this time next week, as voting closes this evening for a new Prime Minister and leader of the Conservative Party, who will then choose a new team. Conservative MP Kevin Hollinrake is backing Rishi Sunak, who he thinks will help people sufficiently.
That's what Rishi did in the COVID crisis. He looked after jobs, he looked after businesses. He knows the levers to pull, and I think he's made the right calls throughout the campaign in terms of the support for households, and I think he'll make the right call in terms of support for businesses.
The Queen will miss the popular Highland Games Braemar gathering in Scotland tomorrow. She's been suffering from mobility problems since last year. A cabinet minister and a senior advisor in Number 10 are facing allegations of sexual misconduct, one of groping and one of sexual assault. 2 women have told Sky News their testimonies, with one saying she told Downing Street about the allegation when the man was hired. Labour MP Sarah Jones told us the Prime Minister needs to show leadership.
We have a Prime Minister who doesn't deal with these issues. We had the issue with Chris Pincher, knowing what we knew about him, but he was still promoted. We have to clamp down on this.
The government spokesperson said we take allegations of misconduct extremely seriously and there are robust procedures in place to raise concerns. The man who killed Sarah Everard has offered no indication of plea regarding 2 charges of indecent exposure. The alleged offences would have happened in 2015 and 2020, before the murder of the 33-year-old woman, for which Wayne Couzens is serving a whole life sentence.
TalkSport weather with QuickFit. Are you ready to get away? Be in with the chance to win a lastminute.com gift card worth £4,000 when you buy 2 or more Michelin Cross Climate tyres. Book today at quickfit.com or your local centre and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Remaining warm in the sunshine, but rain in the northwest with a risk of heavy thunderstorms in parts of southern England and Wales.
TalkSport Sports Update with Lookers. Here, wherever and whenever you need us. Visit us in-store or online at lookers.co.uk.
Good afternoon, I'm Tom Clayton. Moeen Ali will captain England in Jos Buttler's absence during their T20 tour to Pakistan later this month. Butler will return for the end of the tour, but will miss the opening few T20s. Meanwhile, Jason Roy's been excluded from both squads for the Pakistan tour and the World Cup later this year. Interim Bournemouth manager Gary O'Neill says he's certain this squad can compete at the top level.
They're an incredible group, mentality-wise, integrity, relentlessness, that they'll never stop, never ever stop until it's over. The best group I've been around, even as a player. So, yeah, I think Wednesday night sort of answers your question, can we compete at this level? We definitely can.
He took over from Scott Parker earlier this week, who became the first Premier League manager to be sacked. Meanwhile, the Newcastle boss Eddie Howe says he's pleased with the club's transfer business this summer. They spent around £106 million on Matt Targett, Nick Pope, Sven Botman and Alexander Isak. Howe says he's more or less achieved what he wanted.
It's never absolutely as you want it to be, but I think from the board down, I think everyone's given their all to try and create the best squad possible. I found the window to be very difficult. This year is very long. Pleased it's shut and we can concentrate on the football, but very pleased with the squad that's left.
On the whole, Premier League clubs spent a record £1.9 billion this summer, more than clubs in Germany, Italy and Spain combined. There's a full transfer roundup on talksport.com. And for the first time ever, Britain has 4 men's singles players through to the third round of the US Open tennis. After Andy Murray and Jack Draper went through on Wednesday, both Dan Evans and British number 1 Cam Norrie progressed on Thursday evening. Murray and Draper are back in action later this afternoon. We'll have live updates.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on Talk Sport. Hard-edged, hard-nosed, hard to beat. The radio program where the only thing they agree about is the name. Highly charged, highly opinionated, highly recommended. Jim White and Simon Jordan. Mid-mornings on Talk Sport.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Arsenal Invincible Martin Kieran. We're with you until 1 o'clock, which means we're into the final hour today. A heck of a lot to get through. Everton host Liverpool in the Merseyside derby tomorrow, 12:30, live and exclusive on Talk Sport. Is this the furthest the gap between these two has ever been? And what about the other two north of the border? Celtic Rangers lock horns tomorrow lunchtime in the east end of Glasgow. That means that Celtic Park. Can Rangers do something over there? They found life tough there in recent times. Can they go there and win? Simon says absolutely no chance. We heard from Graham Souness on that earlier on in the week. We'll look back at what Souness said actually ahead of this massive fixture. For anybody out there who has never been to an Old Firm game, and Simon, I don't include you in that, you came up with me and you were mightily impressed, were you not, by what you saw? Then get yourself to a Celtic Rangers game or a Rangers Celtic game. Honestly, it's got to be on your bucket list. But anyway, that is no demand. I'm just advising you that you might want to see it. Mr. Martin Keown is here. Very keen to get your take on this, Martin. It was the other day we heard from the Hollywood boys who are now in at Wrexham of the National League. I'm talking about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, that they'd written to all National League clubs with a proposal to get streaming in the division off the ground with immediate effect. Streaming in the division. They didn't do the writing of the letters or the emails to the other National League clubs. It was their strategic advisor, a man I know well, former EFL chief executive, now advisor to the Wrexham owners, Sean Harvey. Sean's going to join us in just a moment or two. In response, incidentally, the National League revealed that they'll submit proposals for a fully tested centralised streaming platform. The proposal is that other member clubs support this thing so that there is an option, alive and well, to stream matches outside of the 3 o'clock blackout in the UK with immediate effect. Mr. Jordan thought this is poppycock.
what you're doing by doing that is you're diminishing the presence of football fans in the stadium. It's one thing streaming when you've got because when you've got more demand than you've got supply, right? Then you're going to have a situation where streaming becomes more prevalent because people can't see something. They can't go live, but they can see it streamed. When you've got nobody wanting to go and see Wrexham besides a bunch a small bunch of people, I'm going to go off down a tangent of a dog and a sheep.
That's not true.
If you're looking at streaming because you're creating a demand, then I believe that you'll take away some of the supply into football stadiums, which has a secondary spend aspect to it.
I think it's more European and worldwide.
Because the world's full of Wrexham fans. Do you think Deadpool's going to come along and solve the problem that the EFL been told? Well, I know, we're going to ask Deadpool. Right? Let's ask him what he thinks.
Well, I know what this man thought of that. The advisor to the Wrexham owners, former EFL chief exec Sean Harvey, because Sean got in touch with me and said, "Your man, Jordan." No, I'm not having that. Sean, good afternoon. I know what your take was the other day when you heard Simon on this subject. What's your take now?
Well, listen, I mean, who's interested in Wrexham? Well, the answer is a heck of a lot of people. And whether it's one person or a million people, ultimately, we want to grow the club at Wrexham to make it as big as is humanly possible, and want to be able to take every single opportunity to be able to do that. And in truth, new fans of the club or new fans to the club that are based in America are never going to be coming to the race ground on a regular basis. So there's absolutely no chance of diminishing the number of fans inside the stadium because they weren't coming anyway. And the fact that Wrexham gets an average of 9,800 fans per game this season so far, and there's more people wanting to come than we've got space for inside the stadium, I think it's a really, really positive story that we want to continue to tell the world and to spread as quick, as far and wide as possible.
So there you are. It's a positive. You heard Sean there. It's a positive story. Many across the pond will benefit because of the association, largely with Reynolds and McElhenney. And yet, you poured scorn on it.
But you have to appreciate the framework of how the question was put to me about streaming and the benefits that streaming has to football. I don't really care about the benefits to Wrexham. I don't care that the Wrexham story is a media story and a story that's based upon a TV backdrop, that funding the acquisition of this football club, increasing the opportunity. I entirely concur with Sean's point of view. If you've got two Hollywood stars that are indexing their name to a media project, which happens to be a football club, and that is in part funding the opportunity for this football club, then of course you're going to see OTT.
How's a media project? What's the media got to do with this?
Well, look at the backstory to this particular acquisition. Look at the documentaries and look at the story that's being built around the ownership of a football club and all that goes with it. This isn't a project where two benefactors have just parachuted in and gone, here's a big bag of money. This is underpinned by a media angle.
And because of
this is part of it.
It would particularly
but
it would particularly benefit Wrexham because of the way you've just described the nature of the two owners. But it would benefit everybody else in the National League.
That wasn't the question that was asked of me. The question that was asked of me was, do you believe that a blanket position of streaming inside the pyramid is a scenario that could benefit those particular football clubs? And I gave an argument as to the jeopardy that I thought it may have. I've actually been in the camp, I don't know if you've heard this, Sean, about broadcasting all games and it being available to all people, and digital subscriptions being available to people that want to watch their football team. But I do worry that ultimately, if you can take away, from an international point of view, if you're broadcasting to the Hollywood people that want to know that Ryan Reynolds is involved with a football club, of course. But you're not charging for that. That's not something you're charging for, are you? You're charging for people to pay £10 to watch it from a domestic audience. Is that right, Sean?
So Simon, there's two different points. The issue is we want to be able to move forward with streaming as quickly as possible. We acknowledge that the National League are looking for a league-wide solution, and our argument is, whilst ever they're looking to find that, everybody who's capable of streaming at this moment in time should not be prevented from doing it. So that's the absolute crux of the argument. The point that we keep getting pushed back to Wrexham is that ultimately we stand to gain more than any other club in the league directly from.
Hence the reason why you're not looking to profit from the overseas broadcasting.
Absolutely, and only for that reason, Simon. If this was a free market, of course you'd be charging for an overseas stream, but we're saying we'll give the stream away for free overseas, simply because that way we don't gain a financial advantage. Yes, we get to grow the brand of the club, the size of the club to a new international base, and there's everybody should be applauding that, not criticising it. And what we're saying is to ensure that we don't gain an advantage in the interim period whilst the National League gets itself sorted out with its collective solution, then we will donate all the profits or not take a fee from our streaming revenue. Then that way nobody is at a disadvantage and we get a chance to actually do what it is that we want to do, which is take Wrexham to the world.
And this is fine, Sean, and no one would have an objection to that, and neither do I. But that wasn't the framework of the question that was put to me. The framework of the question that was put to me was, do I believe straight streaming per se will benefit
with Wrexham specifically in mind?
Fine. And I parodied the opportunity for Wrexham to be... Oh, did you? Because at the time, and hang on a second, at the time, Sean, I did not know the intellectual capital was driven by a football operator that understood the dynamics of it. I thought it was something different, that we were getting lectures from people that understand certain aspects of the world, not other aspects of it. So that might be an underestimation on my part.
So now you know the whole story. No, you're behind it.
Well, no, I'm neither behind it, I'm neither for it or against it. In the instance of Wrexham, I can see the benefits of it because it's a media story. This isn't a grown-up football club having owners that are coming in to spend money to buy the football club and build it forward. This is a group of individuals. Sorry, Sean, you can correct that because I'm sure you have vested interest in this conversation and I don't. The bottom line is that you've got a media story underpinning the